Welcome to the First 30 Podcast. Today we're playing the newest Square Enix mouthful of an RPG remake, Star Ocean: The Second Story R. Is this game different enough from the original to make it worth your while? Well, let's find out. Thank you for listening to the First 30. I'm your host, Chad Callahan, and alongside me are the lost travelers that nobody is searching for, Tim Harris.
Hello.
David Marino.
We'll find each other.
And Rick Weirdbeard Hogerhide.
I prefer to be alone. I think it's the best way to go.
Just lost out in the sea or space in this instance. Although I feel like if you're like in the sea or in space, you need people to, help you actually get to your destination.
See, that's the difference in us, Chad. If the moment that I knew that I was lost, it's game over. Like, you're not. I need nobody because I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, you're like Iron Man in the end of what was it? The
Endgame.
Endgame, yeah, where he's just like, oh, fuck it, I'm just in space.
If I'm literally having to be totally by myself, I will not reach Wilson status. The moment I'm talking to like a volleyball, no, I'm out.
Fair enough. I'm excited because there's gonna be like a ton of games coming out here, or like games have come out, I guess is what I should say.
Tons of games have been coming out,
but
the trend will just continue.
Yeah.
But we gotta figure out what we assume some of the games of the year are gonna be. But Rick over here has collected some thoughts on some game of the year things, and then made it into what I'm assuming is a game?
Yeah, so it's technically called a cryptograph, which means we're going to just see some emojis, and you have to guess what the title of the Game of the Year candidate is going to be.
Okay. Did you assume what these candidates are going to be, or is this like a Game of the Year, like you got this from somewhere?
This is what I think is going to be Game of the Year.
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely front runners that everyone would agree on.
So, I'm not going to try to guess yet.
There's one front runner for sure.
So the first
it's
one
true. There is one front runner, and it's different from what Tim thinks it is.
This first one is going to ease you in. Feel free to check it out. What do you think this Game of the Year candidate is?
All right. And for the audio-only listeners, here, the emojis given to us are like teardrop emoji, swords, like kind of that battle sword emoji, and arrow, bow and arrow emoji. Why can't I think? Hold on. I'm going to just, based off my instinct. So is this like the name? Does this reference the name, or this is just what the game's about?
It's a little of everything. I'm going to give you the answer to this first one to ease you in. The first one is Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you get it now, Chad?
I get how this is working
all right.
now. I don't think I would have got it, but I got there. I'm not good at these types of things. But all right, let's go.
All right, number 2, Game of the Year.
What the hell am I even looking at?
What's the image?
Okay, I see the image. It's on a dark background. It's a dark emoji on a dark background, so I couldn't see the first one. But it's a spider. Okay, I know what this one is. Spider, and then the Statue of Liberty, and then buildings.
Yes.
This is obviously the Spider-Man, but I don't know the second name to it. The new Spider-Man game. Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2.
It's just Spider-Man 2.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they had like a subtitle.
No nonsense.
Cornelius Spider-Man 2 is the answer that we were looking for there.
All the movies have subtitles, so I was like, I don't know if that has one.
If you wanted to differentiate, you could call it Insomniac Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, there you go.
They're the
developer.
Because
I guessed one, so I'm done guessing for
They
now.
have confirmed that it's only Miles Morales moving forward. No more Peter Parker in that universe.
Really?
Yes. So
fuck Peter Parker. Hell yeah.
Number 3. Can you guess what this Game of the Year candidate is?
What's the first one? What's the first emoji? Like a glove? Is it a punching glove? So
you gotta
punching
work through
glove,
this.
what looks like a kimono or a robe, and a punchy fist. I don't know what this one is. Oh, Tekken?
No, there's no new Tekken game.
I wasn't sure.
Why is this not coming
Street Fighter?
Oh, yeah, Street Fighter.
Street Fighter 6?
There you go. All right. Okay.
Sorry, more specific.
Yes, number 4.
I haven't
Game of
played
the Year
Street Fighter.
candidate.
Diamond Fire Chicken. What? Diamond Fire Chicken, the game, coming to you on Nintendo Switch. That exactly sounds exactly like Nintendo, actually.
The moment I tell you what game this is, you're gonna lose your mind.
Is this? Oh God! Game of the Year: Diamond Fire Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Diamond Fire Chicken. KFC's.
I'm lost.
Yeah, it's that the KFC dating game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Marry Me, Colonel.
Yeah, whatever that was.
No, that wasn't this year. That was years ago. Oh God.
I don't know what this one is.
Tim, do you have any thoughts?
I don't know. Diamond Fire Chicken.
It's the newest installment in a very long, storied franchise. In fact, it's in double digits of how many of these games have been released.
Final Fantasy 16?
Yes. It's a chocobo.
I get the chocobo. Okay. All right.
Okay, that makes sense.
What's the diamond?
What's the fire in the diamond? Yeah.
Because it's all about the crystals. They have the like that's their not life force, but like where the magic comes from.
It fires
the
his whole thing.
diamond,
Yeah.
for some reason, threw me off.
That makes so much sense.
All right. Number 5. Can you guess this Game of the Year candidate?
Flashlight holding pen ghost.
Yeah.
It is David's favorite.
Oh, Luigi's Mansion?
No, oh my God.
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake 2.
Oh, no.
I should have guessed it by David's favorite. That's actually a really good point.
I can't play Alan Wake 2
so sad.
yet.
That is sad. Oh,
Chad,
his computer's not good enough.
This is Game of the Year 2023, and your guess of what game this was Luigi's Mansion.
He saw the ghost and panicked.
I did. When I saw Flashlight Ghost, my first instinct was Luigi's Mansion. I've not played Alan Wake, to be fair, so I don't know what they have in that game.
You know what? It's the exact same game. You're right. I should have just Alan Wake.
Oh my God, that crossover would be bomb. Oh, like Luigi just walks in, Alan Wake's just there with his beard now, apparently, because he's Keanu Reevesing it up. It's so great. I love it.
A little bit, yeah.
Number 6, final Game of the Year candidate, done in emojis. Can you guess what game this is?
What in the actual hell? All right, so dice, eggplant, lip, tongue.
Baldur's
Peach.
Gate 3.
It is Baldur's Gate 3. It's the horniest game to ever win Game of the Year. Most likely
I guess
the winner.
The dice should have gave me the
That
biggest
is
hint immediately.
out of the candidates here, and I have not played Alan Wake 2 yet. That is my choice for Game of the Year so far.
So yeah, I've noticed out of these 6, you don't have the actual Game of the Year.
Ooh, what is it?
Hey, David, before you say it, you have to give us 3 emojis, or at least symbols, that you think it would be.
Do you want me to type them, or you just want me to say them?
Just say
them.
Okay, a fist.
Okay.
A guitar. And a music note.
Oh, Hi-Fi Rush. Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say guitar.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay.
Oh God,
It's like I knew there's a new one coming out.
that game was incredible.
Yeah, I've got one
Really?
too, and the emojis are a moon and a ring. I tell you what, it's Moon Ring. Yeah, that's the game.
Moon
Chad.
Ring?
Moon Ring. Yes, it's so good.
Okay, I'll take your word on that one.
So good. No one knows about it, but it's so good. It's free. Play it.
Okay. Not Game of the Year candidate if no one knows about it. That's for sure.
Free, you say?
Yeah, 100% free from the guy who made Fable, or one of the guys who made Fable. Yep. Play it.
Okay.
Do it.
All right, well, you have some Game of the Year candidates to, potentially look out for, and a couple like underdogs from Tim and David over here. But we're not here to talk about these games. We're here to talk about a different game. And today we are playing a beloved and expansive remake with a brand new 2.5D aesthetic. This is Star Ocean: The Second Story R.
In a lonely corner of space, a boy hailed as a hero of light
Where the hell am I?
meets a girl without a past,
My name is Rena Lanford. Nice to meet you, Mr. Kenny.
and the clock of destiny that has waited an eternity has started to move. It's time to set off, with trustworthy allies fighting for a common cause. In the shadows of twinkling stars, as long as hope remains, the light will continue to shine, no matter how much evil ambition swirls around them.
Also, a quick reminder that you can find this podcast in video format on our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/@first30podcast. So let's get right into this. This is obviously a remake, and I think that's what the R stood for, which I feel stupid because I just figured that out literally as we're sitting here. I was like, what a weird name. Second Story R. Like, why? Now it's all making sense to me. But Square likes to do weird stuff, in particular Star Ocean, to be fair. But this is a remake after all. But they've had other remakes. Quote, I'm going to put that in giant quotes because the first game had a remake, but it was just a port over. All right. This is not that at all.
It was an enhanced port. Okay.
Cool. Great. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm
not
sure
a remake.
They prettied it up a little.
That's more of a remaster. All right. That's not a remake. I guess that could be what the R could stand for still in that previous one. But this is an actual remake because this game has literally been built up from the ground up. But Tim, you and I are probably the only two that like have like really good memories. I know, Rick, you said you dabbled in this a little bit, but you don't know a lot.
Listen, I am a trisexual with JRPGs. I will probably have tried almost all of them, but I don't think that this one really stuck when I played it.
In your memory?
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
if I were to ask, where does this franchise sit in the Square portfolio? Because this doesn't feel like their go-to, like Final Fantasy obviously is the banner franchise that they have. Where are we looking at for this one?
I would honestly say it's probably top 5 in the franchises that they own.
Really?
As far as like, maybe not now, but like when this released, like in the 1990s, 100%.
I don't know if Square was actually involved with this in the 90s.
Was it?
Yeah, this was before the merger, wasn't it?
Tri-Ace is the actual
Tri-Ace.
developer. Yeah.
Okay. Then I don't know. So if we're going to talk about like now, it definitely doesn't fit in that era. Because here's the reason. I'm going to say this right now. The newer Star Oceans, not that great. At least the ones from like PS4, PS5 era. I've not liked any of them.
They're okay. They're not as good as the
money.
First 3.
So I'm just going to throw that out. But the first 3, all really great if you like story-driven games. But Tim, how do you feel about this as a remake? Like, now that you've seen what this is, I know that you are a huge fan of the original. So I think you're going to be the front runner on this episode for sure. But how does it feel overall?
This feels like an absolute breath of fresh air for the franchise, like 100%. They have taken this game and basically rebuilt it so that those of us who are huge fans of this game in particular are going to love everything that's there still, but they've added all of the quality of life additions that you would expect from a newer game so that even newer people can jump into this and really, get their feet wet, which is great. And they've made all of us happy somehow, and more things need to do this when they make remakes. They always piss someone off, but this time I think everyone's going to be happy.
Actually, the hardest thing I think is to get the previous players like you involved and still love the game.
Yeah.
But I think they took a cheap way out, in my opinion. And I'm gonna say one thing: it's not the Final Fantasy VII remaster where it's like complete haul over, where it's like literally like the characters are like photorealistic and they look amazing.
Yeah,
they had like that kind of like cut over to those character portraits, but like that's it. There's still sprites and the graphics are good, but can I say it's a little weird to see the graphics in the background, these really beautiful like backgrounds, and then you have these little sprites running on screen.
Yeah.
But David, what did you call them before? You said that they looked like little stickers.
Well, yeah, the in-game, not so much, at least while we were watching on the stream. But if you go look at the Steam page where they have like the preview screenshots, there's something about the way they're lit, or maybe just what they were doing when they took the screenshot. They look like those 3D puffy stickers. If you remember, like you probably picked them up at the doctor's office when you were a kid. But they have that, there's a weird like rim highlight, and it almost looks like they're kind of popped out from the actual like rendered background a little bit. And it looks, the backgrounds look phenomenal.
Yeah, really good.
Like,
yes.
The pixel art is nice, but man, these backgrounds are so clean, so beautiful. And the the new, I'm assuming new, I have no experience with this series or game, the dynamic camera that they have going on when you're just walking around.
Yeah.
That is so nice. The little subtle movements it's like, you split down a path and it kind of slowly pans that way to show you where you're walking. Excuse me. So good. But the other thing too with we noticed while we were playing, the shadows aren't pixel shadows.
Yeah, it's really weird. So your characters are all pixely, but your shadows are just regular shadows.
Yeah,
it's
super crisp, super clean. Not only are they not just like that little ellipse circle that you would get in old games, they don't even reflect the pixelated nature of the character designs. They are just like hyper realistic shadows coming off of these pixel characters. And it's fine. Like it doesn't look bad, or even the two styles don't clash. It's just really funny to see this blocky object casting a pristine shadow in the world.
It's almost like Minecraft shaders a little bit.
You know what? It does. It feels like that.
The thing that stands out, though, is that it just feels like there was so many trappings of going back to JRPGs, that little things like that are modern conveniences where you're like, oh, it's not a jank ass shadow. Like, it's a, what do you know? It looks good. Like, there's so many things in this title that upon revisiting makes me realize why Square and like those kind of companies have moved away from turn-based JRPGs, because there's just so many things in here that it's like on the precipice of being like, wow, that's really, really great. But it's just, I don't know. It feels like 90% of where I would hope, or 80% of where I would hope a title like this would be, right? There's just some things that are like built in that cannot be fixed, because yeah, you're right. The dynamic camera, awesome. A lot of the lighting, the background textures, awesome. Then you actually get into it and it's like, oh wow, we're still doing some of these things that are baked into like what you have to do into a game like this, and it's just tough. Like I don't know the word that I would use for it, really.
No, I feel what you're saying, but I think this kind of had the Final Fantasy VII Remake treatment even before like Final Fantasy VII Remake was a thing, because you could basically, and Tim, you could clarify things, but the combat is, you mainly focus on one character. I don't remember if in the original game you could switch between characters like you can in this one, or if that's a quality of life change. You can?
Yeah.
So, but you change through and then you give like small little like notes to different characters for them to do stuff in the background. Like we talked about the Kingdom Hearts style of like, Goofy, stop using my potions. Or stop using Cure, Donald. Things like that. But you're mainly focusing on one character and you're running around the battlefield, your arena, if you will, and then you're just fighting them, which is kind of similar to how most RPGs, especially JRPGs in Square Enix especially, going right now. So like the Star Ocean was kind of the originator of what the new style of JRPG is, and that was back in the 90s.
Yeah. Real-time combat has always
Yeah.
been its forte. Like just like that and Grandia, really. Those are like your two big hitters
Grandia,
when it comes to real-time combat. Like, you can pause combat, but it's real time for the most part. And, like, this one even takes it a step further, because in the old game in combat, when you did, like, a big skill, your character would just be frozen and you'd have to watch all the animations, and, like, that kind of took the real
like
time flow out.
Final Fantasy VIII GF summons, where you just are stuck there.
This one does not have that. You can choose to start your animations, and it all happens dynamically in real time now, and you can switch to another character while that character's doing something and go around and still continue the fight, and the monsters keep fighting too, and it's a nice addition, I think.
The weird thing is like, I don't, and this is might be a quality of life thing that could possibly change, or maybe there's a reason why they did it, but I didn't realize I was a different character, and when that character gets incapacitated, I was still that character, and the other character's on auto. I don't know why it just doesn't switch me to the next character.
It never has, and maybe that's because the game thinks you're bad and thinks the AI can do better for you.
Probably. To be fair, it did,
the AI
it did
was
kick
doing
ass.
really well.
It was.
All right. Well, David, I do know you had a few tidbits you wanted to share with the class.
Sort of.
Oh.
I had a hard time finding interesting just little facts about this game, so I decided to write up some quiz bits.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, okay.
We have a self-proclaimed fan of this game. I figured we would ask a couple of questions and
Oh,
see how
that's even
much
better.
they really know.
We can try. We can see what I've retained.
Yeah.
The first one, not so much. It's just a general question to see if maybe you can guess the correct answer, like how well you can suss out the feelings of the community.
Okay.
So the second story, this one, ties with the highest rating on Metacritic with another game. What game is it?
Oh God. So this is tied with another just random game, not from this franchise.
No, another Star Ocean game.
Oh, okay. I would argue that if it's tied with another Star Ocean game, it is going to be 3.
I agree. I will
Yeah.
also say 3. I think 1 is probably good, but 3 is still top tier.
I don't think it's 3. I
What's
only
the
wrote the
name
name of the game.
subtitle?
Yeah, there's a subtitle of the game. The one it's tied with is called Till the End of Time.
That's 3. Yeah.
That's 3.
Okay. All right.
That's
Okay.
3, baby.
Validated.
Sorry, I forgot that they all have names.
So good job, everybody. 1 point. Next question. What is the name of the planet that this takes place on?
Expel.
Yeah.
Tatooine.
Correct.
I don't even need to think about it. Okay.
Correct. 2 points. All right. Last question. I've only got 3 for you. What is the name of the ship from the intro?
Oh, that one's a toughie. I don't think I
Ragnarok.
remember that one.
I don't know.
Starts
why.
with
It
an
was
L.
not
Does it start with an
Ragnarok.
L?
It does not.
Okay, then I have no idea.
have
I don't
no idea
remember that.
either.
It is the Calnus.
Yeah.
Oh, I do
Okay.
remember hearing that at the beginning. I thought
Yep.
that was the name of a person. I'm not gonna lie.
You got
Actually, while I was looking for stuff to find, I saw that name. And I was like, oh, they must be operating the sensors on the ship or whatever. So I was like trying to find the background of that character. It's like, oh, that's the name of the ship.
Just the guy.
See, closest I would have gotten with that was probably the Cygnus, and that's from Star Ocean or Saga Frontier.
He's mixing up his franchises.
Yep.
all the JRPG just blends together. And
Smashed together.
That is punishable by death, Tim. So we'll see you at the witch burning site.
See you in hell, buddy.
And now it's time for the meat and taters. We're going to analyze the heck out of Star Ocean, the second story R. What a mouthful. As much as I enjoy the original, I hate
Instead
the
of meat
name.
and taters.
Oh,
Instead of meat and taters. Since
what is this one?
Aries.
Well, I was going to ask you, since all of
this
the
is
items
the
in this
berries
game
and
seem to be
jam.
berries and jam. So right, yeah, would that is that what we can call
berries
it?
and cream.
Hell yeah, the berries and cream. Let's go.
Berries and cream. Oh God! But let's dive down into a little bit more of the specialties, Tim. If you could give us the highest level of like what SP, BP, all that
Yeah, what happens?
craziness is, like what is it for? What do we
All right.
do? How do we make this work?
So BP are battle points, which you spend to basically customize your characters. You can do things like increase their defense, decrease their ability to like be surprised by an attack, or you can use those BP to upgrade your skills to higher levels. Like your air slash, for instance, will get either just more power, or it might get an extra projectile, stuff like that. And then your SP is going to be used to customize your characters further with specialties, which include things like teaching them to cook, which helps you craft cooking recipes. There's actually like item crafting. You can do things like craft music and do some bard stuff outside of battle. There's all sorts of stuff you can delve into. And then the
Didn't they do
SP
fishing?
The SP is
Fishing?
tied to unlocking new things in the game as well, including fishing and pickpocketing, which allow you obviously to steal items from people. You can get some of the best items in the game that way. And then fishing is new, and that's tied to 2 specialties that you have to level up. And then once you get those to a sufficient level, you get to go fishing, and that is the greatest part of every RPG. So
All right, real
happy
quick.
day.
before anything else, best fishing mini game in a video game. Go.
I want to say Stardew, but I have a hesitancy to like hate one aspect of that, and that's the when it falls to the bottom, it bounces. But Stardew's got a really good one though.
I also
I'll
really
say-
like Stardew.
Far Cry.
I've never done that one. I don't know how that works.
It's relatively new. I think it started in 5 actually, so it might actually be just the last 2 games. But it's got a really good. You have to like watch the rod and reel in at certain times.
Okay.
Really nice.
All right. Yeah. Rick, what do you think? What's the best?
I have a layman. I'd go with Stardew as well, but
I mean, Stardew.
It's such a good system.
It's just fun to play. I don't know. There's something about it. I just enjoy it too much. But actually, the other thing about this game that I want to touch on briefly is how there's a difference between main actions, which is like the main storyline and just walk it through. And you're trying to just like go and finish the game essentially. And then there's private actions. And this literally will decide the end of the game and what characters will be in your party. Like you can choose certain private actions and one character will join your party over another.
Yep.
Or you can do certain private actions where it's like you'll get a better relationship with another character, which will change the ending somehow. I think there's like 80 plus different endings.
There's
if I'm not
almost
mistaken.
100.
It's almost
mean-
100.
Yes.
Let me ask, because this sounds incredible. Like all
Okay.
of these, doing this will change the ending of the game. But is this like Mass Effect 3?
Yeah.
It'll change the ending of the game, where it's like, oh, there's some offhanded comment about like what happened during the battle, or is like what is going on at the end of the game going to change?
So the ending itself is pretty much baked in stone. The ending parameters that you change are going to be like the 2 main characters who group up at the end, and they're going to go do a thing, and each pairing of characters has a different thing that occurs. So there is like multiple different like things that are going to happen, but like the actual end of the game is just baked in stone. Like this is just like an
Okay.
extra fun little event that's going to be tied to the ending. And I just punched my mic. Sorry.
He got so
it's
excited.
like, oh, 100
Yeah.
different endings.
But arguably, you could probably pare that back to like, there's probably going to be like
12.
maybe 12 that are like distinctly different, and then otherwise it's going to be just dialogue changes.
But still
Okay.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you said all of these personal actions, what are they called?
Private
Private
actions.
actions.
Private actions. When you said all these private actions were going to like determine the ending of the game, I immediately thought like, oh, the dialogue is going to be exactly the same except for the name that happens to be there.
No, it's not like
No.
that. Like it does
Okay.
actually affect something of like actual consequence.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be more character specific instead of it just being, like you said, just changing names here and there.
Yeah.
So I think even still, like there's even like missions that you can go on with certain characters if you have them in your party, if I'm not mistaken.
There are quests that will be unlocked by doing certain things. So yeah.
Well, part of like I heard you say that there are certain characters that block out other characters.
Yes.
So if you get X person, Y and Z may no longer be available to join your party.
that is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of replayability here if you are into that. But at the same time, the base story is going to be the same every time. But at the beginning of the game, you can choose between the 2 main characters, which is Claude and Rena, and you could switch between their perspectives of the game. Again, same storyline, but you're just getting a different perspective of it, which I
Yeah.
guess is kind of like Resident Evil a little bit.
It's a little more extensive than Resident Evil because like you actually see events from like a completely different perspective that you like don't know what's going on there if you play as Claude versus Rena. So like
Actually, I have
you
a
get
better
to see
version.
what's happening.
Near Automata does that same thing where like depending if you like is it B2 I don't remember
is
the names
B2.
of the characters. You can switch between the characters there and it's literally the same concept. Good. I think that's Square as well. They must have been really good at that kind of stuff. But yeah, so if you like that kind of stuff, this might be up your alley there. But this game also with the new updates, and this is something I love to see, there's a ton of quality of life updates. And again, a lot of them are just what Tim mentioned with like skills and stuff like that. But they've also added like a lot of fast travel options. And I thought it was just like fast travel to X city. No, it's not just that. It's fast travel to the inn at the city, or fast travel to, so-and-so's house at the city. And I don't remember if they had these markers in the original, Tim. Do you remember if they had like the quest markers where you had to go exactly
they did
to
not
each
have
one?
any of that. No.
Oh, that is lovely having all these little things. And I thought so.
That's
I was
a game
like,
changer.
Literally a game changer. I know exactly where I need to be at any given moment.
Yep.
And I love it. That little mini map is
It's also
beautiful.
that's actually really good too, especially in that mine. That was like the first dungeon, right? That mine
Yeah.
Yeah.
we went to, because it had the exclamation points like, "Hey, go over here," but that meant, oh, that means that all of these little side paths I can explore if I want, and like, oh, find a treasure chest. Oh, find that one. What was it? It was like a point of interest.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
just,
yeah. Probably if I
quiet
go back
glowing
again.
crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah, the glowing crystals. We found that because we wandered off the beaten path a little bit, so it tells you where you need to go so that you can go. Oh, I can explore these little side areas a little bit.
Which JRPGs are notorious for just throwing in a dungeon and you just getting lost and hoping for the best and just finding and people like, I'm assuming me and Tim, who are like, I want to find all stuff and I look for every single chest in that freaking dungeon. It's good to do that because I hate the game of like, great, is this the main quest area? And do I miss everything if I accidentally go to the right area? Because that stuff.
It's like, oh, you step forward and like, oh, I'm locked
Cutscene
into this
triggers.
area now because the cutscene transition and like I can't find any of
back
that
in
stuff.
the day,
Yeah.
what you look
Always
for
happens.
is there a save point here? Oh, I gotta go back.
Yeah,
I gotta go back. This is where it's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's very true. But there's tons of quality of life updates, one of which is the music. And Rick, you mentioned before, like, this is a
Yes.
great like thing that you're seeing in games. It's like, one, you can either play the original classic music if you want to like go back and live the heyday of your youth, or you can listen to like the more orchestral arrangement, they called it. And it's like really good. Like it is pretty spot on to like the feel of the game. David had some thoughts on like some of the battle music. It was like an 80s kind of
Well, yeah, I
metal
was-
or whatever you're calling it.
In the heat of the moment, when you finish a battle, you get like this riff on just like an electric guitar that's playing, and just with kind of the both space where we start the game and then abandon. Do we ever go back to space? Because
Do you
we're
want?
in
Do
space
you want
forever.
spoilers?
Forever.
brief
Forever.
spoiler.
What's the
Do we
point?
go back to space?
Yes.
Okay, because like we start in space, then all of a sudden, and now it's fantasy, and like we're stuck here. It's like, what was the point of that? But okay, if we're going back to space, you get like this not metal, but like this rock guitar riff. I was like, this doesn't seem like it really fits for either the fantasy or the space vibe. This is weird. And then we took a brief pause to come back to record the podcast, and I realized, oh shit, it's stuck in my head.
Yeah, see?
I mean, that worked.
Talking
Yeah,
shit.
it must be really good then, even if it feels a little bit aesthetically off. It's a good riff, so why complain?
There's another game you said recently coming out, Rick. What was the game that you were
Super
talking
Mario
about when we were playing?
RPG.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. I love this whole like new thing of just like finding ways to like revamp the music. But I do like the fact that you can kind of go back if you want.
Well, I don't think the music was different, but the holy grail of that kind of difference between like a remaster and then the original is the Master Chief Collection.
True.
Where
Oh,
you're playing the
yeah.
game and at any moment you just hit a key and flip between the original graphics and the new graphics. Anytime you want. You're like playing the
Really?
game in the middle of a firefight. I think it's tab on the keyboard and mouse. You hit tab and it just flips between the new remastered graphics and the original Xbox graphics.
See, I would have played that not knowing it, accidentally hit tab and be like, oh my God,
broke
the
it.
game beat me so much. It destroyed my graphics. I'm so trash at this game. It said, you know what? Let's take it back a level.
But that'd be really cool to see in a game like this, especially because I'm sure the original was like top-down RPG.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah,
quite
just-
top down. It was kind of like that like weird like from the
isometric.
angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, isometric. Thank you.
They have just hit a key and switch between these beautiful like Unreal 5 graphics to what was the original system for this?
PlayStation.
PlayStation. So like old 32-bit single plane graphics. Flip
Yeah.
between both of those as you hit a key. That'd be cool.
Well, let's get into a little open grievance, and I think we all have well, except for Tim, have one grievance in particular that we'll talk about. And this is one of those things for those story lovers out there. I'm sorry, but Rick, do you want to take us through the overall open grievance I think we're going to have?
These assholes talk so much, and it's just JRPG drivel. Like, I don't know the better way to put it. I'm sure, like, this is like somebody who goes to a musical and then they're like, oh, they could have just talked this out. Why are they singing it? But like I get that it's part of the vibe and whatnot, but god damn, do they just talk and talk and talk. And I feel like I'm sure, I've been told it gets really good, you know, like you get into the story, you can do it. But I am officially on dad time, dude. I get like only so much of my valuable life to play video games that like we played for an hour and a half. And I would say that 80% of that was just skipping dialogue and hearing them say each other's name back and forth to each other over and over again. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being a party pooper, but god damn, just babbling.
It's fair. You want to know something?
What?
I don't disagree. This game has one of the longest intro pieces out of like any JRPG ever. And like, I always try to rush through it. I'm not going to lie, because it is long. And that's why I told you all those secret ways to skip through 95% of the opening, because I know them. And like, there is a lot of world building and character development that goes on in these scenes, but at the same time, it does take forever to actually like start the game. It does. It's not like Final Fantasy VII where there's a little bit of character development, but they like throw you right into it. This one takes forever to get you into the actual action. And even the first dungeon, it doesn't really take you out of that moment.
No.
Like, you still have a whole nother scene of just talking before the game finally opens up to you.
All right, I'm going to make a weird analogy here that JRPGs are a lot like beer, like it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
That would make Final Fantasy VII like a cider or like, you know, something you can get into.
Everyone loves it.
This is a fucking dark pilsner craft beer
It's
that
messed up.
like you the most stouty, gross, just like, yes, I've been drinking tree bark sap for the past couple of years. This is now on my level.
I will take that analogy because that fits with me.
But I think at the same time, though, most people who are like looking for RPGs like that kind of stuff. So if you enjoy those stories, JRPGs. Well, I guess JRPGs are probably most notorious, but I would even say like all these like Dungeons and Dragons games.
They do
get
it
that too.
But those ones tend to have a little less fluff in the dialogue. Like, they don't push as hard to make everything just kind of like feel, I don't even know what the word would be, but there's not as much fluff. Everything kind of has a point that it's going to. Like, they're not trying to force these characters on you. JRPGs are always trying to force their characters on you. Always.
Yeah, with this and a lot of JRPGs, it's almost like it's presented as almost like a visual novel where you're just going back and forth between like the script as written.
Yeah.
A lot of Western RPGs will have choices, even if they don't really matter. They afford you that opportunity to like express yourself in the dialogue, even if like the response is canned or it doesn't matter what you picked, the response is always going to be the same, which I've seen a lot recently. You know, you playing the game will say, okay, I choose this option. They'll react to it. Whether or not that has an impact on the game, you still feel like you had an input to it.
That's a much better way of putting it. I was trying to think of a way to put that where it forced the character upon you. That's what I meant. Like, Western RPGs give you that choice that kind of puts you more in the role of the character as opposed to this is the character, this is how they are.
Well, I think it's time to get down to the final say to figure out whether we would continue. And since I played the game, I'll be going last. And you know what? We're going to start with Tim because I think we all have a sinking feeling of where he's going to land on this one.
So,
but Tim, will you continue?
Yeah, I'm basically married to this game, realistically speaking.
He's in a love-hate relationship with this game.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Star Ocean franchise. I'm a big fan. Even the ones that people don't like as much, big fan. This one in particular is my favorite of the franchise, and just to see it with this fancy new coat of paint, like, even if it was terrible, I'd still play it, don't get me wrong, but like with this fancy new coat of paint, it's got all kinds of little things that I'm going to be able to learn, just brand new stuff, and why would I not jump into what is one of my favorite games with all these new mechanics now? Like, it's just, like, it's a no-brainer. It's 100% $50. I'm doing it.
All right, David, would you continue this game?
I will try the demo.
You know what? I'll accept it.
I'm not going. It has a demo. Downloaded on Steam. I'm sure the console versions have a demo too. I'm not going to commit to buying this game to play it. I didn't see anything here that's like, oh wow, yeah, this I really want to play this. But there's a free option. What we saw looks kind of interesting. I'll give it a go.
You know what? I'm gonna take that as a continue. It's a 0.75 because that is the most I've ever seen David try a JRPG ever. I literally thought you were gonna pull like the rug from under us and be like, not continue. No. So I'm impressed. So this game actually convinced a non-JRPGer to give it a demo try. And I suggest that for anyone else who's on the fence too, to give it a demo try, because I imagine there's more gameplay than the first hour and a half of this.
One would hope.
Yeah, I hope that they put the gameplay in it.
Don't misunderstand. If this game did not have a demo, I would not continue it.
Fair enough. The importance of demos. We've said it over and over on this episode or the show. Rick, final say. Will you continue?
I earlier this year played through Sea of Stars, and it was great. It's another JRPG. It's in the Chrono Trigger line. I listened to a merry band of characters take on the world and eventually have to kill God like every other JRPG.
That's every other JRPG, yeah.
And like I had my time. I put in my like effort.
You put in your dues.
Sorry guys, this is just I don't have the life. If you were talking to like 17-year-old Rick, loser 22-year-old Rick who didn't have shit else to do, totally like feed me all the JRPGs. This is just like, it's a great title. I'm not gonna if it's your jam or your jelly, you should go after this because I think you're gonna love this game. I do not have the impetus to continue this, unfortunately.
I mean, that's fair. Sometimes enough. You can only put so much in. Like, it's not quite Final Fantasy VII, but it's not quite Sea of Stars.
These are a big time sink, like hardcore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
These are very story-driven. These are very, like, bare minimum 80 hours, I would probably say.
Oh, my God.
So you need to know what you're getting yourself into for this game. So fair enough. All right. So a not continue, a 0.75 of a continue, and a continue. Well, what I do, will I continue? Yes, I will continue. I was very excited for this game. I do have memories of this game being really fun. I never beat it, so that's another reason why I'm kind of like, ooh, it gives me the opportunity to play it. There's a handful of things I want to mention real quick that, one, if I didn't know or have these like memories of this game, I think I would struggle with like how much story's in this. I don't know why it didn't bug me as a kid and it bugs me now. And I don't know if that's just because like the way I play games is different.
No, TikTok has fried everybody's brains.
It's
okay.
I have TikTok brain. Like I just get to the point, damn it. Get to the point, But so I have a hard time with that. But I think that nostalgia will keep me interested. The second thing I'm really excited about, and for anyone who's listening to this podcast knows what I'm about to say, it's Steam Deck verified, baby. I'm gonna chill out on my couch and play this game. This is the one reason I wanted to play this today was because I knew it was Steam Deck verified, and I was gonna probably buy it anyways. And I was like, let's just like get this in the podcast so I could justify this purchase.
Did you notice the in-game calendar is based around the Steam Deck?
No, I didn't. I didn't look at that at all.
All of the dates are given as SD, which is the period of time that the game was Steam Deck verified. So this game takes place 345 years after the game had been Steam Deck verified.
I thought you were being serious about something. You threw me off. Yeah, because it's SD00345 or something is how they do all the dates in this game.
It's the classic star date.
Oh, yeah, star date. Thank you. I was trying to remember what it stood for. Well,
what it actually stood for.
Yeah. Well, if you two want to play this game, like Tim mentioned, it is $49.99. You can find it on Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and on Steam. And Steam Deck verified for those who care. So thank you for listening to the First 30. And if you want to see our beautiful faces, don't forget you can find this video podcast on youtube.com/@First30 Podcast.